Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Collector Car Stories podcast here with CollectorCarCanada.ca. Today, we're with a car friend of mine named Adam. Adam, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dave. Nice to be here.
All right. So we're with Adam today. I'll first preface by saying Adam's a car friend of mine predating the business when I launched it in 2021. And a big part of the reason we're here today is that Adam has launched an automotive business himself called, I'm not sure if I have the pronunciation right, Neunwerks?
Neunwerks?
Neunwerks.
I think that's how you pronounce it. I might want to check into that.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell us where the name comes from, what the inspiration is for the business, and what you're setting out to do, Adam?
Yeah, so thanks, Dave. The name comes from, basically, translation is Nine Factory.
Nine Factory,
so that's
okay.
just kind of, and basically I'm focusing on classic Porsches, 2003 and older, restorations, everything from big restorations down to small work here and there. And,
so specializing in Porsche.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think it's a secret to our viewers that I'm a 928 owner. It's now no longer a secret that you're a 928 owner. You own two 928s. One of which is here. Mine is here as well. And a real treat for me, I hope it's a treat for the audience, is that we're going to get to see Adam in action. He's going to change the oil on my 1989 928 S4. So it's parked outside. We'll bring it in a minute. But before we do that, why don't we just talk a little bit about cars, Adam? How did you get interested in cars? What were the cars from your formative years and how you developed a liking and taste for them?
Yeah,
I know some of the answers to these, but you go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll go right back to the start. So it really started with my dad buying me a moped, which was basically a gas-powered bicycle.
Sure.
When I was 16. So
at 16.
So that
okay.
was my first taste of gasoline power, and then that was it. From that point on, I went through.
I had to guess you'd say at 12 years old. So 16. Did you have your driver's license right at 16?
I did. Yeah. The first day, day I turned 16, I went to
365.
I actually got my motorcycle license when I was 16.
Yeah.
It was back in the day when you drive around 3 pylons, and that was it. I get your license, right? But basically, started in motorcycles, and then I got into Mazda RX-7s for years. Owned a number of those.
So rotary engines, a different discipline altogether.
Yeah. I was big into the rotary engines for a number of years, probably really forever. And then I got back into motorcycles, had 4 or 5 bikes, I guess, over a number of years. And then
to ride on the street, not just on the dirt?
Yeah. Street riding bikes.
Yeah.
Honda VFR was my last bike.
Okay.
And then basically, long story short, kids were really young. I think my son was 2 or 1. My daughter might have been 5 or 6. And a coworker her husband had a motorcycle accident, and I almost had a near one.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it was like a wake up call.
Yeah. So I sold the bike for $5,000 and bought my first 928 for $5,000.
Oh, really?
So that's basically, that was 2010.
That was in 85, wasn't it?
It was my 85.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Yeah.
I think you had sold that car before I met you, but I've seen pictures of it. I'm shocked that it was $5,000.
Yeah, $5,000.
Sellers, if you're out there, we usually do better than that when we sell 928s. Not usually, we always do. But that was an 85, and I know I'm familiar with the license plate you put on that. Why don't you tell us about the personalized plate you put on that car?
So that personalized plate I still have. I have it currently on my white car.
Which is an 87.
Which is an 87. The plate is N2Z264.
You paid extra money for that?
Yeah, it's
what
a personalized plate. Well, that's the actual numbers from the tag in the car in Risky Business.
Risky Business.
So if you see the movie, you'll see that Illinois plate is, I forgot it. I forgot. N2Z264.
264, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got right into modern times there. I was hoping to get a better sense of the cars of your youth. I know you and I trade stories and jokes about AMC. Were any AMC cars in your family history?
I was offered a banana yellow AMC Pacer from my grandmother, and I turned it down. because there was no way I could drive that car. I'm sorry. Back in the day,
Pacer.
Pacer.
You and I are pretty close. I'm a little older than you, but we're pretty close in age.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing the math. I think the Pacer came for a 75 model year.
Something like that.
By the time I got my license, there weren't many Pacers left.
No. My family did have a Matador.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
one.
had
That's where I thought you were
I think
going
it was
to go.
a second-gen Matador. It was a two-door coupe. Used to drive that to Florida. You know, to put beach towels on the seats because they were too hot to sit
Vinyl
on.
seats that stick to.
Yeah.
And the rear windows on the side,
They don't open.
they don't open.
Yeah.
Driving to Florida.
Yeah.
Well, some people like to poke. Not that every Porsche purist doesn't love 928s, but some people like to poke fun at the 928, saying it looks a bit like a Pacer.
It does.
And when people say it, I'm not really offended. I think the rear of it is kind of got that egg shape, the sideways egg shape to it, and I think they do have a point. Yeah.
Was there not like some connection with one of the designers?
I think
I
if
remember reading a story. I
If
don't know
you
the details.
internet surf deep enough, I think you can find some common designers between the two.
Yeah.
And the timing's right. As I say, I think the Pacer was 75 model year for the start.
Yeah.
And the 28, the first model year is 78, I believe.
Yeah.
Introduced at a 77 model show, rather. Yeah, okay, so that's the Matador, and you talked about, how many RX-7s you figure you owned over the years?
8 or 9.
That's a lot.
I had 81 through 85. The last one, which I shouldn't have sold.
Each of those years, 81 to 85?
In those years,
Yeah.
I had 82, I had 84,
Yeah.
I had a couple 85s.
Those were FB, I
All
think?
FBs.
What was
all
it? What was the
FBs.
very first? It started with an
SA.
A.
SA for 78, 79. Yeah. Last one being a 60,000 kilometer mint condition red on grade GSL SE.
GSL SE, that's the
It was
nicest.
a
85?
85.
Yeah, that was a pretty car.
Yeah.
I loved the 86, what came in 86, just because it was kind of a knockoff of 944s, really.
It was, yeah.
And I love Porsche, of course. But that 85 GSL SE, that was a pretty car. What color was that?
It was red.
Red one, eh? Yeah, very nice, very
Yeah.
nice. So a bunch of RX-7s. And at home now, in addition to the two 928s you probably have some more sensible cars at home.
Yeah, not really. My daughter drives a Volkswagen EOS, so she loves that car. She calls it Blueberry.
That's probably a better than 09.
It's an 08.
08,
Yeah. So it's a similar color to Lagoon. I drive a Volkswagen Touareg diesel simply because I need a tow vehicle.
Sure.
And it's a really good towing SUV.
Yeah.
And my wife has a 2020 Q5.
Q5.
She's kind of the most modern of the bunch.
The most sensible, I suppose, and newer, yeah. People tease me about my cars. That I have a few cars. The newest car I have is an 01. That's my new car. That's only 24 years old. So part of the appeal for me in inviting Adam for the podcast today is he's going to change the oil in my car. But I figure it also is a good opportunity for Adam just to display all of his knowledge about a 928. We'll do a visual inspection while we're under the car. And I hope he's not too hard on me. But there are also 3 other 928s in the garage here. So there are going to be 4 in here pretty soon. I think you can only see the one behind me, which is I think all 3 that are currently in here are S4s.
They're all S4s.
So, and mine is too. So we're going to have 4 S4s. The one behind us, this gray one, we'll get Adam to walk us around them in a while, and he can let us know what they're in for. But this one's is this an 89?
It's an 89.
89. So that's the first year of the digital portion of the dash.
Yeah, and a 89 5-speed.
And it's a 5-speed as well. Okay, yeah, just like mine actually. And then is it Canadian market car or US, or do you know? We can find out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
we'll figure that out. And then not in the picture right now is Adam's 87 in Lagoon Green, and I'm still stunned at the color of it in the light we're in today. It's much more sky blue. But Adam, this is a super low miler.
Yeah.
How many kilometers on this one?
26,000 kilometers.
26,000 kilometers on an 87 S4 with an automatic, 4-speed automatic.
Yep.
Mercedes-Benz transmission.
Yep.
And then there's I'll call it steel blue. I'm not sure what that color's properly called in Porsche speak. But frequent viewers of the podcast, when we get it on the screen, they'll recognize this one as one of the ones we saw at our friend Sonny's place back in August. So if you saw the episodes with Sonny, we didn't really focus on the car. There were Bentleys, new 911s, and Ferraris to focus in on that day. But this car did make a small appearance in one of the episodes we shot with Sonny. So we'll talk about it a bit as well. So, so I just put the prop up. We've got a couple of jugs of oil. What's capacity? I think about 7.5 liters on the S4s.
7.5 to 8,
give or take,
depending on how much.
So that's why we need these 2 big jugs. I think each one's 5 liters. And then Adam is supplying the oil, but I at least supply my own oil filter. And I've brought a brand that I've used before in a non-Porsche car. Adam's not familiar with the brand. It's Baldwin. Usually I get Man filter for my 928s, occasionally Bosch, but the size looks about right. I like to call it about king can size. So we'll, oh, look at this. Look what it says.
It's a Man
It's
filter.
a Man filter after all. We just have,
I have a Man filter over
yeah, there's
there.
the box over there.
It's probably the same.
So I don't know if that means a common common manufacturer, or they just slipped in a Man filter into the Baldwin box. But I actually feel a little better because I've used Man filters. They're proven for me. Baldwin was all this store I went to had in stock. As I say, though, I have to use them in another car without any trouble at all. So that's why we've got the oil and the filter on the table. So yeah, I think we should probably dive into the work part of the visit, if it's all right by you.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Okay, let's do that. All right, so I've brought my car in here, and Adam's going to get to work. I'll take direction from you, Adam, or I can just let you do your thing. Is there anything you need from me?
No, I'm good. I just got to get set up on the quick jacks here. And,
so I was going to say, yeah, you've got, how does your setup work with the quick jack?
With the what, sorry?
With the quick jack. Not everyone's going to be familiar with that.
So it's basically a scissor jack. It's 2 pieces, and it will raise the car up. 1, so you can work under, and 2, easier access to the engine bay.
I guess, yeah, even when you're under the hood, it raises up the car. You don't have to bend over as much.
Exactly.
Okay, now I see why you were directing me the way you
Because
were.
this is going to swing up, and the car is going to move forward.
It's actually going to move forward,
about
yeah.
10 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I had you back up a little
So we
bit.
needed clearance from the car in front of me.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay.
Cool.
I did get this is the 5,000 unit. It's a little bit lighter.
5,000 pound capacity, is it?
Yeah, yeah. There are larger units, but they get heavier.
Sure.
I went with what is good for these cars.
Yeah, I know people swear by them. They're really handy, but in 5 years, when your shop's a massive success, you'll laugh. You laugh at starting at the quick jack, probably.
Yeah, at this point.
For now, though, it's perfect because
now, yeah.
you're not in here doing oil changes 30 minutes at a time. You're doing longer term jobs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's a little bit of time at the beginning and the end of each job.
Sure. And you're a young, nimble, fit young fella, so you're all right. If it was a heavy old guy like myself, I'd be cursing.
Well, yeah, age is only a number.
Well, it's a state of mind, right?
Just gotta keep at it.
It's a state of mind. I'm just observing some differences between the 87s and the 89s in the garage. One item I always notice, it's a tell for the 89, is this external antenna. I had mine replaced. I replaced mine about 5 years ago. This area here, this rubber became brittle on the original one. And I ended up having to pay more for shipping the darn thing from the US than I paid for the antenna itself. This car over here is also an 89. Do you know the name of this color, Adam? Maybe stone gray?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
By the,
Look at the door jam and see.
yeah, there's a code in there in German. But yeah, it looks like this antenna has been changed just by the appearance of the color of the antenna itself and its support. Whereas this 87, which is near mint condition, I believe the antennas are incorporated into the front windshield. Is that right in these?
Yes,
Yeah.
87 and 88
Yeah.
have the antenna in the glass.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I can see it here. I think I see it here on this one, but maybe that's just a defrost line because I don't see it in the lagoon green. And then one of the 4 928s in here has stock rims. Adams near mint. Well, I'll call it mint. Near new, I'll say. 87 Lagoon Green has the original. We call these manhole covers or 7 slots. And they're a little wider in the rear than the front. You can kind of see the concave shape by the edge of the rim where it meets the rubber is different in the rear than the front. He's probably got 2 45s in the rear and 2 25s in the front. I think those are the stock sizes. All 3 of the other cars have Porsche rims, but they're not original to the car. This one, I think these are 996 GT3 wheels. And then this 89 looks to have a set of Cup 2s, which were common on 928 GTS and 993s. And then this one is original cups, but I'll let you in on a dirty little secret about my car. The rims are replicas. These ones are made by Borbet. But they do have the same look as the original cups, which I really like. Looks like we're getting some action on the quick jack.
Yep.
And I didn't even know it was powered. So
Yeah, it's hydraulic.
you've got a hydraulic system right here.
Yep. There's a motor behind me.
Car going up. So we're gonna get our elbows and knees a little dirty when we get under the car, but that's all right. I'm gonna pretend like I worked today.
Okay, I like to do a final check once it's up.
Sure.
Make sure.
You got the placement all right.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I just drove for about 30 minutes to get here. The oil should be nice and warm to flow out.
Yeah, that's good actually.
Yeah. Ah, another dirty little secret. Is that not staying up? On a hot day, it does. Maybe it's too cool for it.
Yeah.
We're shooting this on November 27th. It's very rare that I have this car rolling so late in the year, but we've been blessed with a beautiful autumn this year. Oh, the embarrassing instant respect stick. By the time we're done, I promise the car will have warmed up enough that the hood struts will keep it up. But that's life. I'll add it to my list. That's a repair even I can handle. In fact, maybe I handled it last time, and that's why we're in the situation we're in. So here's a good look at the 5-liter V8 water-cooled.
Oh, you're missing the rear pan.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I figured we'd talk a bit about that. That's a metal belly pan, whereas the stock would have been plastic.
Correct.
Yeah, I bought this car a little over 20 years ago when it was 15 years old, and the original was on it, and I had it on for several years, like over 10, but it just got to a point where the plastic cracks and flecks were such that you could barely get the thing back on and off. Back on again, off and back on again. So I went to the metal one about 5 years ago. Looks like if I didn't know better, there's some seepage on that pan.
Looks to be, yeah. Well, could be from any number of spots on these cars.
Yeah, of course. About how many bolts are you looking at to get this pan off, Adam?
Let's see, 4, 6, about 8 bolts.
8.
A little less because you're missing.
I was going to say I have most of them, right?
You have about half of them.
That's it, eh? I'm glad you told me about that for the rear pan. I'll look into that. The piece I got, I thought was all I needed. It's probably shorter than the stock unit, is it? Or do you know?
Yeah, it's probably half the length.
Well, then that's my operator error in procurement. I assumed my replacement was the same size as the stock unit.
Or there's 2 pieces.
In the stock one as well?
Yeah, in stock form.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 sections.
In that-
there's another metal. In stock, there's a plastic with the ducts, and then there's a metal section that covers the belt housing.
I think then I was sold this car without the second metal piece then. Because I think I only took one off and put one on. Got something hanging down there too.
Oh,
So I've told Adam to take it easy on me, but I hope he'll share with us all that he finds on his visual check. Both for the sake of the entertainment of our viewers and for my knowledge in terms of getting this car ready for spring, which is only four months away, really.
I think you got an imperial bolt there.
Well, that doesn't fit a German car. It's a biggie. Well, I was up to that. I'll show you these Cup 1 replica wheels. They're 17-inch. And there's a set of Michelin Pilot Sports all around. 225/45 in the front. And then 245/40 in the rear. 17-inch diameter. You can see the calipers, which I believe are original to the car. And they have the Porsche script on them. You see a lot of these cars now. People have moved to painting their calipers because they like the brightness of the red or the yellow calipers. I like my stock look on mine. You got that front imperial bolt off? There
sure
it comes.
did, yeah.
All right. All right.
Make sure the bolt doesn't go running away on us. Move this pan.
So that's a little messier than I thought we were in for here, Adam. Gonna get your hands dirtier than I planned to.
Yeah,
It looks like engine oil to me, does it?
Yeah.
To you?
We could do a quick tour here before we drain the oil.
Yeah.
It does look like you have some seepage from your oil pan gasket at the bottom.
Do you think it's the pan gasket?
Yeah.
That's not too serious, I guess.
And it even looks like some of the bolts are a little bit loose. You can even see a little bit of space.
Well, I was hoping you were going to say it was sourced in the oil plug, the drain plug, but maybe not, eh?
Yeah, more at the front. The source, it could be, because back here, the pan's dry.
Yeah, that's true, eh? It's more on the front.
A little bit of a leak back here because there's one spot where a bracket for your clutch line bolts to the pan. It's leaking there probably because that's been removed a couple of times. But not on this side.
What would be the fluid at the clutch you just described? Is that engine oil as well?
Engine oil, yeah. And actually, now that I see, you do have a seeping pan gasket all the way around. Really, this is the only dry area. Everything else is wet. So all of the bottoms of your nuts or bolts
with
wet.
your left hand, maybe you could sort of enclose the circle or the whole area of the pan.
So this basically
the finned piece,
pan,
yeah.
But it actually goes farther back to here.
That's what I was kind of perceiving by what you were saying.
This is the lower part of the sump.
Yeah.
But back here at the bell housing is where the pan ends.
Yeah. Okay.
The pan slopes, so the oil that comes off the crankshaft then slopes down into the lower part of the sump here.
How many gaskets are there? Or do you know?
There's one gasket for the sump.
Yeah.
There's a small gasket for the level reader atop here.
Right.
And on the inside, you typically replace the gasket on the oil pickup tube.
Okay.
So 3.
So I'll also point out, not related to the leak, but the pan being finned like that. I understand that design helps with cooling.
That does, yeah.
Yeah. And that skid plate, I'll call it, that you just took off, that also helps with cooling because the vents are such that it blows wind onto the base of the engine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you have the factory air ducts,
right,
the air ducts actually cool the motor mounts.
Okay.
So they send cool air up to the motor mounts. You've got a steering rack boot that's heavily twisted.
Steering rack boot that's heavily
Yeah, so
twisted.
see on this side, see on the passenger side, if you want to see, you can see how the boot is,
Yeah, I see the
is
boot.
nice. So the boot here,
It's trying to get in there to see it.
yeah, the boot is twisted.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So that boot is going to break not too long from now. You can see the
Yeah.
rubber is pretty damaged here. It's actually broken a little bit already there.
What do you figure might cause that twisting?
Somebody put it on wrong.
Really? That's
Yeah.
interesting to hear.
Yeah.
One thing I have, as you know, I've had this car 20 years.
Yeah.
I haven't had any really big surprises or major malfunctions. One thing that I have done is to have the steering rack rebuilt, and that happened twice.
Yeah.
I'll say the first time it probably wasn't done right. That's why I got to do it twice. But
Yeah.
the second time, over 12 years ago.
That's good.
So that would tell me that boot's been in place for at least that time, wouldn't you say?
Probably.
Yeah.
And based on the cracking, it's it's lived a rough life being twisted like
Yeah,
that.
no kidding.
But it's held up.
Yeah.
But it's not going to hold up much longer.
Fair weather car, of course, but even so.
So that's, what I mean? It could be a temporary fix, just simple as removing that clamp,
Yeah.
and then letting it spin around and then
Yeah.
reclamping it. You could probably do a temporary fix on it.
Now, would that be covered by the skid plate you just took off, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Eh?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense then. That because I had this car in a well-known shop, well-regarded shop recently. I had the I call it internal fuel pump.
Oh, the
There's
internal tank pump?
There's a pump inside the tank, right?
there's
Yeah, I had
the
that
pricey
replaced.
one.
I'll get into that in a second, actually. But yeah, I had that replaced. I had that little rubber gasket at the back of the hatch replaced, which was messing up all my internal lights. I know you're familiar with that trouble. I think you've had it yourself.
Yeah.
And I had some work done on the instrumentation as well. But no, as I say, I'll call it the internal fuel pump. It's different for 89 than the 87 and 88, as you may know. Did you know that?
87 doesn't have it.
Okay, so
Neither does 88.
I guess we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sort of enlightened by the shop, my trusted shop, and it told me about the difference of the 89. And that's funny though, because he gave me a choice of retroing to the 88 part, which would have been less expensive than the new 89 part. But then he told me he found an NOS, car guy speak for new old stock, 89 pump. Nice. So there was an 89 that was converted to a race car in its first 3,000 kilometers. And this pump sat on a shelf for 35 years. So I scooped that up, and I didn't get a full warranty, but I got 90 days. Another part of the reason I'm still driving the car is I want to make sure that pump's all right. And it's been fine. In fact, I noticed a difference in the performance of the car.
That's great.
So I was pleased to get that for a lower price and still with a bit of warranty. The 88 part was, the retroing to the 88 was somewhat appealing, but I also like that I've got an 89, the proper 89 stuff on it. Not that the car is bone stock, but it's pretty close. So we're about to get to the climax here. Stand back and here it comes. So what do you think of the color of that oil for coming out? That's coming out.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
It was changed this time last year. I don't think I even did 1,000 kilometers in this car this year.
Should put a rubber glove on rather than that. Sorry.
Yeah. So we were saying earlier about 7.5 or 8 liters of oil. I guess mine will be slightly lower given that we saw some seepage on that, on the underside and that skid plate. Okay, so you're gonna lubricate the filter, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good idea to pre-fill just so.
For our friends at home, there's the Man Filter logo on the filter that came out of the Baldwin box. So when I get bored, I'm going to try and figure out if Baldwin is the same company or if that's just a different filter went into the box. But as I said earlier, I'm familiar with Man filters. I'm quite at ease having a Man filter in my car. And I'm at ease with Baldwin. I've used him in another car. This bench. I know where you got these benches. They're on sale this week.
Yeah, I just bought 2 more.
Did you? Yeah.
They're good benches, for $2.99, like some people say it's expensive, but it's a butcher block.
Well, we slag Canadian Tire, but what would we do without them? There's the familiar Mastercraft emblem.
Okay.
So $2.99 on sale. Probably is on sale 1 week out of 4 every month, is
Yes,
it?
it is.
Yeah.
And there's your new crush washer for your drain plug.
And did you supply that, or was it with the filter?
No, I did supply that.
Okay. You're going to have to send me a bill.
Yeah.
So we've got the oil out. I guess the question is how much of the original 7, say, 3/4 liters came out, which would give us a sense of what that leak is like that we saw. And what's this handy dandy suction?
This is a Mighty
That's what we
Vac,
got.
so you can use this to actually extract the fluid from the car itself. So I do that sometimes.
There are OEM dealers, and this is the standard way of doing an oil change now, isn't it?
Yeah, they might have like a larger system.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pump it by hand.
No. But they don't drain the oil from the bottom of the engine; they pull it out from the top.
Yeah.
They pull it right from the oil fill cap under the oil fill cap.
Well, usually through the dipstick.
Yeah.
But it's hard on some modern cars. Like my Touareg has baffles because it's a diesel, so you can't pull.
Right.
Mr. Lube tried that once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, never go back there. But some cars you can. The 928 you can get most of it out, but you won't get out. You'll miss like a liter.
A liter, right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's not like a real oil change then.
No. So if anything, it's good here simply to cleanly transfer the oil from the drain bucket. This not only extracts, but it pumps out. So you can see it filling up.
Yeah.
And then it's a clean way to put the used oil back in the oil containers.
I suppose the what'd you call the contraption? A vac?
It's a Mighty Vac.
Mighty Vac. The capacity of that is much greater than a car.
I think this is 8.5 liters.
Oh, 8.5. Okay.
Yeah. So.
I guess that's 2 bags of milk. Looks about the same displacement.
It's flowing pretty good because your oil is warm, which is good.
Yeah, I guess it flows more easily when it's
If you do
warm.
it on a cold engine with 2050, it's pretty thick oil.
I guess the 2050 is that's a thicker viscosity then.
Yeah.
And I did ask this when it was coming out, but now that you see it in the tub, how does that oil look to you in terms of cleanliness and how hard it's had to work?
It looks good. We can do a quick test. I'll get a piece of cardboard, put a bit of oil on some cardboard, and then use a high-powered flashlight.
Right.
See if you see any sparkles.
Sure.
You don't want to see any sparkles. So that really, the color of the oil isn't really too important.
Right.
The oil has detergents.
Yeah.
And naturally does get dark as it works. So.
It reminds me of the INS problems in the 996 normally aspirated and the 997.1 normally aspirated engines. I know people will, after an oil change, they'll send their used oil off to look for shavings.
Yeah.
Metal shavings.
It's a Blackstone.
Yeah. Oh, you know about Blackstone, yeah.
Yeah, because I had my Touareg, had a rattle in the engine and had a rattle inside the cam cover,
Right.
and it clearly ate something while I had the hood open and was listening to it. The motor chewed up something.
Okay.
It's been fine. I've put on like 30,000 kilometers
Uh-huh.
since. I was going to send a sample to Blackstone.
Right.
She's still driving, so whatever it ate.
So I do find that whole procedure for the 996s and the 997.1s to be a bit ironic, because if you ever find the shavings, isn't it too late?
Yeah, it's too late.
It's great that you don't find them, but
Yeah.
as soon as you find them, it's the engine's in for trouble.
Yeah. There are some theories that a lot of those issues came from cars that weren't driven hard enough.
I've heard those
Revved
theories,
hard
but
enough, were lumbered around town at
Low
2,000
milers,
RPMs
low mileage
for a lot
cars.
of times.
yeah. But I mean, people quote percentages of what the failure rate percentage.
Yeah.
I don't think they can have a complete numerator, because there's still going to be more that fail in the future,
Yeah.
and there aren't going to be any more built. So
Yeah.
it's not going to go down. In other words, that failure rate.
No, it's not.
But yeah, as a former owner of one of those cars, the car I had was fantastic. It never gave me any trouble, but every time you climb into it, it's in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Could today be the day?
I think it was a little bit. I think the whole thing was overblown.
Overhyped?
Like a lot of things get over. Even on the 928, like the timing belt age. It doesn't matter how
I'm
old the
so
timing
glad
belt
you
is.
brought that up. I wanted to talk to you about that today. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? Like, you listen to your car.
Yeah.
If your water pump bearing's not happy, it's going to make a noise.
Yeah.
If something else is not happy, it's probably going to make a noise too.
Well-
if you ignore these noises, then that's your own demise.
Sure. You're the author of your own demise. So the 928s, certainly the S4 Pluses, I don't know about the original body ones. These ones are an interference engine. Were the OBs interference engine as well?
No, they
were not.
became interference in 85 when they
Oh,
brought in
yeah.
the 32 valve.
Yeah, with 32 valve. So prior to that, the non-interference engine, if a timing belt snapped, oh, isn't that a fun sound at the end? It's like me slurping my Coke. All that would happen is the car wouldn't run anymore. You just change your timing belt and away you go.
Yeah.
Whereas with the interference engine, timing belt snaps, you got bent valves and a whole new rebuild you got to do. But I was mentioning the name of the fellow who used to do work on my car in the city of Toronto. He's since retired, so I was sorry to lose him. And I think I got his last 928 timing belt and water pump job, and that was in 2019. So that's going back 5 years, and there are militant 928 people who say, doesn't matter the mileage, you got to change your timing belt every 4 years.
No.
So this will, what I'm about to tell you, well, not like what I just said wasn't shocking enough, but I'd had this car for 15 years when I had the belt changed, and it was the same belt that the previous owner put in. As you say, I keep a list. I keep an ear out for my car. If nothing else, a mechanic sees it when it gets its oil changed. But yeah, if my water pump bearing is screaming at me, I'll say something. So that belt had been in this car for over 15 years, and I asked this mechanic who retired what the belt looked like when it came out. He said, I could tell it was a little old, but it was fine. So I was quite happy with the peace of mind I had with the new belt, but it really made me think that some of these people who talk about no matter the mileage, change it at 4 years. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, the belts simply don't break on their own.
Yeah.
So it's a steel coated belt. Like,
even if the rubber degraded.
I probably have one around here.
Even if the rubber degraded.
Like, even trying to cut one is hard.
Yeah.
Like, they're not. What typically fails is the bearing of the water pump, and if that pulley is no longer spinning, then that can break the belt.
Okay.
Same.
So that's like cutting it.
Yeah. It's like eventually heating it up and causing it to.
I guess it would cut more easily if it's hot too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm actually gonna pour half of this into here.
Oh, okay.
Because that way. It's a little easier to pour out if it's not full.
Well, I wonder when I can get this car washed, because that'll be my last step, and away it goes for the season. So are those jugs in even 5 liters?
They are 4.7.
Oh, not quite 5, right? Well, 5 quarts. That's what the even 5 is. So here's the oil we're using today. Mobile 115W50.
These are from the US.
Right, that's right. Someone did an oil run among our 928 friends. I think I know
Sonny
who it
did,
was.
yeah. I was across the border myself in September.
Oh, did you get some as well?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. And what store did you buy it at? Not important if you don't remember.
It must have been Walmart, but I know we've had trouble finding these at Walmart in the U.S. as of late.
I know Walmart Canada. You were talking about the Valvoline synthetic. Walmart Canada sells some Valvoline synthetic. For a couple of my other cars, they have some in stock I can use, and the price is right, and I don't have to travel to Buffalo either.
Yeah, I only get it if I happen to be down there.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll buy a Canadian tire if I have to. 'Cause
Well,
the fuel and the time to go to the States just for that.
Totally. But we were talking about the once a month those benches go on sale. I put that one over there.
Oh.
Need that still?
Yeah, I need that oil.
It was
Which one was it?
It was this one. But yeah, it seems like every week one of the synthetics goes on sale.
Sure.
So I'm not that. Oh, I was going to give you used oil, was I?
Yeah, that's not oil. This is the one.
Yeah, that's so thought. But yeah, it seems like one of the synthetics with the 4.7 liter jugs or 5 liter jugs, give or take, is on sale every week. So between Castrol, Mobile One, Castrol Syntec, that is, I'm not that particular between the two. There are some people who will only put one oil in their car. I hesitate to ask you this, but what about Shell Rotella? That's a diesel oil.
Yeah, I've used it in the
928
past.
people swear by.
Yeah, because it has higher zinc.
Okay.
I have used it in the past, but it's not that cheap anymore. It used to be cheaper.
I know that Canadian Tire sells 18 liter vats of it. Is that a better way to buy it? Because you're going to be going through it a little more now.
Potentially.
Yeah.
There you go.
For the camera, I usually
Fill
look
level is nice and clean.
when the oil tech shows me this. I usually look away because I trust his judgment better than mine. All right, Adam. Well, just want to thank you for showing us around today. It's been great. We got to see more than one car. I got my annual oil change on my 89, and we got to hear some of your stories. So, again, folks, Adam, my friend Adam, I know him from before the business, and Neunwerks.com. I can't remember if it's .com or .com. NEUNWORKS.com. We'll flash it up on the screen. He's your guy, certainly for 928 resto, any kind of resto work, taking on winter projects. But I mean, I know you know 928's inside out. Again, Adam, thanks for doing this. We hope this gives your business a little shot in the arm. I think it's really great that you've gone out and done it. I think it was in the works for some years, and you resolved in your mind it was time. So
Yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah,
on
I've been running part
getting
time
off
for
the
3
ground.
years, so
Yeah.
it's just a transition and kind of flip flop what was my priority.
Diving in, feet first. So here we are. So thanks again, Adam.
Thank you, Dave. It's
All right.
wonderful. Thank you. Enjoy your fresh oil.
Yeah, glad to have it. Thank you.